Sefer Bamidbar, Parshat Mattot-Masei, on standing up and speaking out. In Parshat Matot, we deal with a part of Jewish law that can seem anachronistic, the making of oaths or vows. And in Numbers chapter 13, we see what's truthfully a troubling idea about the vows that women make. A woman's husband or father has the option to nullify her vow. We read, "Every vow and every sworn obligation of self-denial may be upheld by her husband or annulled by her husband." Fortunately, because vows are no longer an integral part of Jewish life, think of Kol Nidre, when we annul all our vows, we no longer really have to worry about a man overriding a woman's oath. At the same time, I think the Torah teaches us something profound in this passage. In the next verses, we're told that if the husband or father is aware of the vow that his wife or daughter makes, and he doesn't object to it, then his being silent is considered consent, and her vow is valid. The Torah tells us, if her husband offers no objection from that day to the next, he has upheld all the vows or obligations she has assumed. He has upheld them by offering no objection on the day he found out. But if he annuls them after the day he finds out, he shall bear her guilt. The Sforno explains, when someone who has the authority to cancel a vow keeps silent when he hears it, it is as if he had given his consent by not voicing his objection. Further, the Talmud teaches there's a principle that silence is considered like an admission, shtika kahodah, or we can say silence is like acquiescence or assent. What can that mean in our time? To be advocates for social justice means that we cannot remain silent in the face of injustice, not only because our voices as men and women can be truly powerful, but also because when we stay silent, the world can view it as not only inaction, but agreement. Our silence, when we see evil, can easily imply to others that we accept immoral practices. When we are silent, it not only brings additional pain to victims, but also can give a green light to perpetrators to continue. As Elie Wiesel said, we must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And this responsibility comes with a sense of urgency. The commentators point out that the chance to speak out only lasts, as it says in our Parsha, from that day to the next. According to Rashi, because the Jewish calendar switches over at night, one must speak out before it becomes dark. Of course, if we insist on being loud and vocal at all times on every issue, people will tend to tune us out altogether. So instead, we need to find strategic ways and choose the right opportunities to make sure that we are not passive in society. There's also ways of speaking up that don't require a speech with a megaphone or a viral post on social media, such as personally reaching out to those affected by injustice. Speaking truth to power isn't always the most effective thing to do. One of the most damaging elements for perpetuating oppression is isolation. People hurt when they are mistreated, and they are hurt further when they are kept in that pain alone. These kinds of personal interactions also give us the opportunity to hear firsthand what resources people need. The responsibility to stand for what is right can be applied to small things as well. For example, when our children misbehave and we don't name it, they can assume that we are okay with their actions. If children are not acting morally, it's critical to make the right adjustment then and there. On the other end, it's also crucial to speak out collectively on the massive issues. Think about all of the mobilization that has been done in support of Israel. One of the benefits of affiliating with the Jewish community is that it gives us the ability to unify our voices and ensure that we are heard. Also, by connecting our needs to the needs of others, your problem becomes my problem, and my problem becomes your problem, and we're able to make sure we're all fighting fewer battles alone. As we look outward at our human battles with climate change, violence, and severe inequality, we see that unified action is the only way we can possibly solve the challenges we face. What's maybe the hardest, though, is speaking out alone. Frequently, we all find ourselves in places where we can hear words of violence and hate and belittling that require us not to be silent bystanders. Our job is to bring whatever justice we can even there. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put it best. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Let us strive to be remembered, not as well-meaning friends who stood aside, but as true friends who stood on the side of justice. Shabbat Shalom.